Welcome back, everyone from the the editorial community that's logging into our virtual press announcements this afternoon now. Um, our next presenters are from our friends at Siemens. Uh, Laura Coates and Rebecca Van Genekten will be speaking following a brief video that Alan will queue up in a moment. And just want to remind you once again that we're going to use the Q&A questions for you to submit your questions, and we'll respond to as many of them live as we can, and we'll respond offline to those questions that we can't come to. So I encourage you to keep asking those good questions, please. With that, Alan, please cue up the video.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here. I'd like to share a little bit about what Siemens has been doing over the course of the last year since I was with you in person, and talk a little bit about our activities in the process industries and our digital transformations. We could move to the next slide. Well, while we've seen that the challenges in the process industries remain very much the same challenges, what we've seen over the course of the last year is a dramatic increase in the pace of the change that we're observing. A McKinsey global survey of executives conducted over the summer indicated that companies have accelerated their digital transformation of internal operations 3 to 4 years during the first months of the pandemic. And Siemens has been there supporting this digital transformation for our customers and enabling them to achieve greater speed, flexibility, quality, efficiency, and in particular to help them respond to the new business models required by the pandemic. As the workers have gone remote, so did the need to run operations remotely, safely, and with increasing productivity. We've developed new ways to monitor and track employee distance. We've enabled customers to start up and commission projects fully remotely, to monitor their operations through convenient, easy-to-use applications, and even to set up, monitor, and manage complex process control systems in a fully web-based platform. We also supported customers as in some cases they took either their first steps towards digital transformation, or in other cases they optimized or redesigned their processes to increase their speed, time to market, or efficiency. So if we move to the next slide, our Siemens technology allows our customers to adapt to the technological trends with a full suite of comprehensive offerings for digital enterprise, from networking offerings and developments in the 5G space to sensors and edge devices in the factory and the applications sitting on top of them, to artificial intelligence and simulation, integrated engineering and module type packages, and process control systems. What we've been able to do is help merge the virtual world with our real world to optimize the performance data and deploy very industry-specific solutions for our customers. And this allows them to achieve optimal outcomes for their particular applications. And I'd like to share a few examples of how we've done this over the course of the last year. If we go to the next slide. One of the really strong needs that came up that I don't know if anyone anticipated before was the need to do contact tracing in our facilities to understand where our employees are in proximity to one another and understand that they maintain at the appropriate social distance. What Siemens did is worked quickly to redeploy and utilize our real-time locating systems technology, or RTLS, to redeploy it for this purpose And we built a C-Trace application, which allows users to expand our base technology into social distancing. This allows employees, including those in my very own Houston manufacturing facility, to see how close they were getting to other people and to warn them with a visual badge system if they were either getting too close or staying too close for too long. One of the really great things about our C-Trace application is its configurability. When the CDC changed their guidelines for contact for 15 minutes in close proximity to 15 minutes over the course of an hour of 24 hours, we were able to quickly adjust the parameters to address the new guidelines. And more important for customers starting their digitalization journey, RTLS technology is future-proof. It's not just about COVID tracking and tracing. It also allows for more transparency in manufacturing and logistics and can be seamlessly used to locate all types of assets across the entire manufacturing premise to optimize productivity and support other safety use cases. For example, one of our customers is currently deploying RTLS to ensure that only workers who are trained on particular pieces of equipment can actually use it. So when you wear your RTLS tag, Joe would go into a work cell, and if he's an authorized user, he can turn the machine on. But if Sam goes into that same work cell and he's not an authorized user, he can't. This same concept is also highly applicable for manufacturers doing any kind of remote maintenance. You need to be sure, of course, that there's no one standing in any particular place in a facility or work cell when you want to turn on certain processes. And RTLS can enable this layer of security. If we move to the next example in the next slide, beyond RTLS, what we're seeing is really an increased interest in monitoring and managing processes remotely. One great example of this is a project that we worked on with the city of Decatur, Texas, to introduce our C-Trans Store IQ application and replace what I would call a very, very manual and labor-intensive monitoring process. So the city of Decatur's wastewater treatment plants use polishing ponds and effluent discharge basins, which can be easily clogged and are tied to very, very specific environmental regulations. So previously they had a technician drive out every single day and manually read the equipment information. So the valves are not tied to any particular control system. What we were able to do is convert this manual drive out to the facility to a hand-based, handheld C-Trans Store IQ application that could be monitored remotely. And C-Trans Store IQ works with any manufacturer's instrumentation and allows operators to monitor key data that could normally require a physical visit by personnel to a site. Siemens offered the customer a system that could connect, monitor, and transmit data to enable more efficient operations. We were able to fully automate this manual process and also create an additional benefit for them of receiving alarms remotely to alert them if something needed attention. No one wants to drive to a pond in the middle of nowhere to find out that something actually is working. So the Siemens C-Trans Store IQ reduced site visits by a minimum of 30% and generated 50% savings on maintenance delays and decreased downtimes by allowing for early fault detection. So it's really a wonderful productivity improvement. And we've seen similar successes of introducing other applications like our valve monitoring application across an entire suite of industry customers. I'd like to move to the next example in the next slide and talk about another area where we're seeing even greater benefits and potential for remote operations. And this is one of the first customer installations of our new PCS Neo control system. This is a completely web-based system that allows our customers to deploy, commission, and manage their process from anywhere. Similar to many industries, plants that produce specialty chemicals require more and more flexibility to meet market demands. And we were very pleased to work with our customer Evonik to introduce a concept of module type packages, or MTP, to their Hernau, Germany plant. MTP allowed Evonik to structure sections of their plants as modules with their own intelligence. So they could take all these different modules and building blocks to combine into an overall process and manage, monitor, and control this through a central control system, allowing them even more flexibility. It also allows the opportunity to manage the process from any locations they'd like. Since it's a web-based system, PCS Neo provides an ideal foundation for digital process factory concepts. Customers can visualize and access data from all around the world 24/7, and there's no need for any local client installations. This creates greater transparency and allows multiple users to work worldwide on projects simultaneously, parallelizing engineering efforts and efficiently commissioning all of the different individual plant sections. This was a huge time savings for Evonik and a very exciting project. So if we move forward one more slide to the next example, one of the things that we've seen is that with the rapid ramp up in digitalization in Industry 4.0, some of our customers have also found themselves a little bit afraid of being left behind. And we're very pleased to say that we were also able to partner with a number of customers to help them start their digitalization journeys. One really nice example of this was a customer in the non-wovens industry who came to us and needed support digitalizing their manual processes for greater speed in fabric production, improved efficiency, and to enable more variations in the types of fabric they produced. Now, as you can imagine, the non-wovens industry is one of the ones that was really greatly impacted by the COVID crisis because there was a seemingly overnight need to ramp up production capacities to support all the different non-wovens that are used in healthcare settings and masks and the like. We were able to work with our customer and create 4 detailed production process reviews in their factories, both across Europe and the US. We took volumes of data from various sources, including their ERP system and kind of those hand Excel spreadsheets that people maintain on a plant floor. And we put them together and translated into concrete recommendations, including an artificial intelligence model that predicted product quality for them. Our assessments identified the various pain points where they were lagging behind, and we were able to deliver them per site very specific improvement projects and a roadmap of improvement and the associated return on investment. So it was a pretty exciting project we helped them with. I'm really pleased that I've been able to share several examples of how Siemens technology has enabled our customers to realize the benefits of becoming digital enterprises. I'd like to turn the stage over to my colleague, Rebecca, who's the head of Siemens Digital Industries Pharmaceutical Vertical, and she's going to share a little bit more about the trends we're seeing and how we're supporting the pharmaceutical industry. Rebecca, over to you.
Thank you, Laura, and thank you for the organizers. My pleasure to also speak to you here today a little bit more practical about what this means now for the pharmaceutical industry. So if we move to the next slide, please. And then the next one. Thank you. So you've heard Laura talk about, in general, how Siemens technology is enabling this digital twin to make that transformation for our customers towards the digital enterprise possible. What we see here, particularly on this side, is explain what that means for the pharmaceutical industry that has literally only recently started to embrace this idea of creating such a virtual product or a process or a facility, if you like, so to better understand their critical quality attributes and their critical process parameters. And if you take that idea and move towards a full-fledged recipe transformation capability, then you allow the industry to really, alongside the value chain of a molecule or a product, to build and improve these models. So by definition, the topic of a digital twin can be anything from a product to a full-blown production site. Tomorrow, you will hear a presentation of one of our pharma customers, the company GlaxoSmithKline, GSK, who will speak about how such a digital process twin of one process step has led to many advantages for them, not the least to accelerate from their R&D facilities into a scale-up manufacturing production. Now, if we go to the next slide, you see that the digital process twin in pharma is just one of many ways to address the manufacturing transformation challenges that the industry today is faced with. The pressure is on to continue the search for high flexibility and speed, while the industry, of course, needs to maintain quality, which is the #1 thing in pharma still, and do so in the most efficient way as possible, because also that has become an important topic for the industry as well. At Siemens, we have a very dedicated focus for the pharmaceutical customers, for the pharmaceutical industry. And that means that we have developed on top of our existing baseline automation and software portfolio for many, many years now, pharma-specific functionality, pharma-specific capability. We like to refer to this portfolio as the Pharma Life Sciences Suite. And we speak about our 8 focus topics, such as, for example, paperless manufacturing, which helps our customers to move to implementing electronic batch record, or smart bio, where, of course, flexibility is of the highest importance. Continuous manufacturing, where we need a lot of process understanding and quality built-in by design to make that possible. Or other examples like personalized medicine, which is a very fast growing field in the industry right now and still has a lot of questions around end-to-end logistics or the level of automation that might be necessary. Integrated engineering, and linked to that also the integration of the different package units that we see so often with our customers as a challenge in secondary processes. And then last but not least, stepping into the IIoT world and big data digitalization, where we've seen examples from Laura, but also specifically for pharma. Our team is there developing pharma-specific applications to really uncover the world of data. I would like to finalize my presentations with 2 very concrete examples coming from the industry. So if we move on to the next slide, please. We see one example of one of our customers where we have used simulation technology and computational fluid dynamics in the R&D space for process development. And we were able to reduce really the amount of experiments drastically, so that we ended up with 30% less process development time overall. And as a consequence of that, even 10% less waste. So the most important gain here for that customer was the time that they could gain through this approach to let their tech transfer happen faster and move that product quicker towards commercial manufacturing. Moving on to the other example, please. And that is one very interesting one of our customer here in Germany called BioNTech, in the news now as the partner of Pfizer for the COVID-19 vaccine. However, the example that we have done here together is a reference that plays in the original field where BioNTech is using its messenger RNA technology, namely in the field of oncology. And that production process is a typical example of personalized medicine, as it is an individualized cancer product that they are producing there. And as the name says itself, it's individualized, it's personalized, because the material that is the starting process, that's the starting step for this process, is coming from the patient itself. It's a process that requires many different manual interferences. And so helping the operator to know exactly which manual step that needs to be taken next is of crucial importance, so that no failure is happening throughout the manufacturing process. And that's exactly where Siemens is helping BioNTech by utilizing our MES solution, Op-Center Execution for Pharma. And furthermore, BioNTech is using that solution obviously to eliminate as much as possible paper documents in the manufacturing area, and also centralizing all of its critical process data at once. Our team of Siemens is also working there to equip the process with further robotics and automation, so to really take the next step for this company towards digitalization. And then if we move to the final slide, I just wanted to remind you all that we have quite a number of Siemens presentations happening throughout the event this week. One that I have already announced, which is our customer GSK Vaccines, the IT manager for manufacturing and supply, Herbert van der Elst, who is going to give a presentation tomorrow, and also going to sit on a panel together with our CEO of the Digital Industries Process Automation, Eckhard Eberle. And then we have furthermore presentations around additive manufacturing together with Baker Hughes, as well as a deep dive session on the role of 5G, a topic that Laura has also briefly addressed. Not to forget that you can, of course, visit us in a virtual tour at Siemens throughout the entire event. And I think that's the moment now that we open up for questions.
Thank you so much, and I do anchor your echo your thoughts. I hope we managed to have a lot of very positive virtual encounters this week. Um, we did have a question. We actually had a couple of questions. Just quickly. Um, Whoops. I just lost them. I'm sorry. Oh yeah, quickly, just to follow up to your presentation. So Tom Wilkie was questioning whether the Decatur wastewater treatment plant and Siemens will be presenting at the forum, the regular during a session at the forum this year. No.
Unfortunately not.
Okay. All right. That's a quick answer there. Thank you. Let's move on. Jim Montague from Control Global. What devices and signals did Cytrans Store IQ connect to at the Decatur water facility?
A more complicated question than the last one.
More
There was
complicated.
a Hydro Ranger 200. That was kind of the main thing that they were using in the field. We put on top of it Siemens power supplies, Somatic S7 1200 controllers, different Modbus communications modules, a Siemens IoT 2040 Mind Connect gateway, a Scalens mobile wireless router, and some data packages. If you need some specific details, we can of course get those for you as well.
Okie dokie. Actually, a bunch of questions have come in, so I'm going to skip around just a bit here. Greg Hale has a question. Greg Hale from ISS Source. With all these users jumping into the digital environment, are they aware of the importance of cybersecurity, and do they assume security is built into the digital solution?
Yes, that's a huge topic with any project that's employed. I mean, definitely cybersecurity is a big part of the dialogue and discussion. A lot of our different router technologies have different cybersecurity platforms built in, so we do have that as part of some of the base, but that's a discussion that comes up every time a solution is employed.
Okay, thank you. That kind of ties into David Greenfield's question as well. Okay, Mark has a Mark Hosky has, as I think this is a fairly detailed question, but let's ask: how did the customer base leap ahead 3 or 4 years on the digitalization path? Were planned projects moved ahead? Were more projects added? Perhaps provide some explanations and examples.
Is that referring to Laura's introduction for the McKinsey study, I guess? Just trying to put the question into context. So the question is if we as a Siemens can explain why all of a sudden digitalization is faster?
Mark, can you add to your question so we can clarify that?
If not, I'll just interpret the question as such, and I can answer.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah, maybe from a pharma perspective at least. We have seen to some astonishment and surprise ourselves that the industry has really said, okay, let's embrace digitalization now that we can, now that we have this incredible race against time and have to get these factories up to speed. So we have seen a much higher level of adaptation of, for example, simulation tools with our pharma customers in COVID-19 projects, be it vaccines, be it other therapeutic products. So I can say that much for pharma. I don't know if Laura wants to add that.
No, I think that's it. Those are some great examples of where we've seen it. The quote was specific to a McKinsey study, so I don't know that we've exactly observed. I couldn't quantify 3 to 4 years in our customer base, but it's been tremendous. I mean, I think one of the big areas I've seen, in addition to what Rebecca mentioned in terms of pharma, is customers who were historically very reluctant to talk about any type of remote connectivity or remote monitoring or maintenance are really saying, hey, we need to go in this direction because we realize that we have to be empowered and enabled to handle situations and monitoring things remotely. So very traditional industries like an oil and gas type of industry, they were very reluctant, and we've seen an increase in their willingness and acceptance of some of the digital solutions.
Thank you, Laura. I can add that ARC research, in particular, and user surveys seem to indicate, this is across industries, indicate that there's been a really tremendous jump in acceptance for both remote and other digitalization technologies. From just, from forum to forum, we see that with our end user presentations. Several years ago, they were very tentative, and now we're seeing some very impressive digitalization case studies. So, it's very interesting to be an observer of the industry at this point.
Absolutely.
I think with that, our time has run out. So if there are any additional questions, we will get back to you and respond to the questions offline. Thank you very much, Laura. Thank you, Rebecca.
Maybe I can answer Janice her question popping up. The answer is yes. Just saw a question coming there. If Siemens customer GSK is using Siemens technology in the example that will be presented tomorrow. So the answer is yes, but maybe
Yes.
I shouldn't have said that. Maybe you should just watch.
Spill. Yeah, we'll watch the session anyway, though.
Exactly.
Right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure. Thank you.
Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye.